The death of Caligula, Suetonius reports. During this chaotic and violent reign, several leading people thought of assassinating the emperor. One or two conspiracies had already been detected, and others waited for a favourable opportunity. Among them were two men who found a common cause, and they succeeded due to the cooperation of Caligula's most trusted freedmen and some officers in the Praetorian Guard. These Praetorians had been falsely implemented in an earlier conspiracy, so they realized that Caligula both hated and feared them. He had exposed them to a great deal of popular disgust and disapproval. Caligula had addressed them directly, with a drawn sword held in his hand. He declared that he would kill himself immediately if they thought he deserved death. From that time onward, he had never stopped accusing them of dishonour and setting them against one another. They decided to kill him during the Palatine Games, around noon, when he left an exhibition. Cassius Chaerea, a tribune of the Praetorian Guard cohort, requested the principal role in the assassination. Chaerea had the flabby appearance of middle age, and Claudius would habitually taunt him with every form of insult, calling him voluptuous and effeminate. Whenever Chaerea asked for the watchword, he would give him Priapus, the misshapen god of fertility, or Venus, the voluptuous goddess of desire. Whenever Chaerea had occasion to thank the emperor for anything, Caligula would hold out his hand for the Praetorian to kiss. Then, as Chaerea drew near, he would suddenly extend a finger and waggle it about in an obscene gesture. The approaching murder of Caligula was foretold by many prodigies. The emperor had ordered the statue of Jupiter at Olympia to be dismantled and moved to Rome. But as the statue was being reassembled, it suddenly broke out into a thunderous peal of laughter, causing the scaffoldings to collapse and the workmen to flee. At the same time, a man named Cassius appeared at the temple, declaring that he had been ordered in a dream to sacrifice a bull to Jupiter. On the Ides of March, the capital temple at Capua was struck by lightning. This had occurred in earlier times when a distinguished person was in danger. Lightning also struck the room of the gatekeeper in the imperial palace at Rome. Some thought that this omen signalled that some great danger threatened the emperor, and that the danger involved the palace guards. The soothsayer Sulla read the emperor's horoscope and declared that mortal danger was near. The lots of fortune, cast at Antium, warned Caligula to beware of Cassius. He therefore ordered the death of Cassius Longinus, the proconsul of Asia. He had forgotten that the family name of Chaerea was Cassius. The day before he was killed, Caligula dreamt that he stood in heaven before the throne of Jupiter. But the god kicked him with his right foot, and the emperor tumbled back down to earth. Other events happened on the day of the murder, which were regarded as portents. As Caligula was sacrificing a flamingo, he was sprayed with its blood. In the theatre, the pantomime actor Menester danced a tragedy. But this was the same part that the tragedian Neoptolemus had performed long ago at the games where the Macedonian king Philip had been assassinated. A farce called Laureolus was also performed, in which the lead character falls as he is escaping and vomits blood. Several understudies competed for the part, each exaggerating the effect so that the stage was eventually covered with theatrical blood. Rehearsals were also being staged for a play set at night. This involved scenes from the underworld and a cast of Egyptians and Ethiopians playing afterlife spirits. On the 9th day before the calends of February, at the 7th hour, Caligula was still undecided whether or not to leave the theatre for a midday meal. His stomach was still disordered from an excess of food on the previous day, but he was finally persuaded by his friends. On leaving the theatre, he had to pass along a covered passageway. In this passageway were some noble-born youths who had been summoned from Asia to appear on stage. They were rehearsing their parts, and he stopped to watch them and offer encouragement. He wanted to return to the theatre and make them perform immediately, but the leader of the group complained that he had a chill. From this point on, there are two versions of the story. Some say that as Caligula was talking with the boys, Curia came up behind him with blade drawn. He shouted, "Take this!" and struck the emperor on the back of the neck, causing a deep wound. Then the other conspirator, the tribune Cornelius Sabinus, who was facing Caligula, stabbed him in the chest. Others say that Sabinus ordered several centurions involved in the plot to remove spectators from the scene before the attack. He then asked the emperor for the watchword, as was the usual practice for the soldiers. When Caligula gave him the word, "Jupiter," Sabinus cried out, "So be it!" As Caligula turned, Sabinus struck him with his sword, slicing his jaw with the blow. Caligula immediately fell to the ground and writhed around with his limbs flailing. He cried out that he was still alive, so the attackers rushed upon him with their weapons drawn and dispatched him with 30 wounds. Their repeated command was, "Strike again!" and some even thrust their blades through his groin. At the start of the disturbance, some of his litter-bearers ran to his assistance with their poles, but they could not intervene. Later, his Germanic bodyguard, the Custodes, went out hunting for the killers. They slew several of his assassins, as well as some innocent, unarmed senators. Suetonius, Life of Caligula, passages 56 to 58.